Have you ever found yourself in a conversation, maybe at work or, with friends, and you're nodding along, you're making eye contact,
Mm-hmm.
you look totally engaged, but inside your brain is just waiting for them to take a breath so you can jump in with your story?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if we're being honest, that's pretty much the default setting for most of us, right?
Mm.
It's that classic thing, listening to understand versus listening to respond.
And most of us are in the respond camp.
Way, way in the respond camp. It's a really hard habit to break.
It is. And that feeling, that pressure is exactly where we're starting today. We're doing a deep dive into 21 Days of Effective Communication by Ian Tuhovsky. And I have to say, I love the premise of this book
Yeah.
because it treats communication not as some, mystical talent that you're just born with.
Yeah, like having blue eyes or something. You either have it or you don't.
Exactly. He treats it like a muscle, which is great news because it means it can be trained.
It can be trained. It's a skill, not a personality trait.
Hmm.
You can actually, go to the gym for your conversation skills.
You can. So that's our mission today. We're going to take you through the first week or so of Tuhovsky's 21-day challenge. And we're not just listing tips, we're really looking at the psychology behind it.
We've kind of organized it into 3 main pillars from those first 8 chapters. The art of silence, the psychology of word choice, and then building social bridges.
And what I really appreciate is that he doesn't start with the flashy stuff, like how to be charismatic.
No TED Talks here.
Not yet. He starts with the foundation, which is honestly the hardest part. Just shut up and listen.
It sounds so simple, but day 1 is all about listening. And Tuhovsky makes a pretty bold claim right in the start. He says most people are, physically present, but mentally just miles away.
The lights are on, but nobody's home syndrome. We've all seen that look.
Exactly. And he argues that real listening isn't just the absence of talking. It's an active process. It's what creates emotional intimacy. He even references the psychotherapist Carl Rogers here, which I think gives it a really crucial scientific backing.
Oh, Rogers is a heavyweight, so what's the connection he makes?
Well, Rogers believed that when people are truly heard, deeply listened to, without judgment or interruption,
They can basically solve their own problems.
that's it. The act of being heard allows them to articulate their feelings in a way that helps them find their own solution.
That is such a fascinating inversion of how we normally think. We usually listen so we can be the hero and solve it for them.
Right. But Rogers is saying the listening is the solution. You're not the hero. You're the sounding board. You're a mirror. And if the mirror is warped because you're planning your rebuttal, they can't see themselves clearly.
I love that. So how do we become a clear mirror? Because just sitting there like a statue doesn't feel very active.
So Tuhovsky has this tool called rephrasing. But there's a massive trap here. You can't just be a parrot.
Right. So if I say, I'm so frustrated with my boss, you don't just say, you are frustrated with your boss.
It feels robotic, patronizing even.
Yeah, it feels like I'm talking to a really bad chatbot.
Totally. The goal is to reflect the meaning, not just the words. So if you say you're overwhelmed and drowning, a good listener might say, wow, it sounds like you're feeling completely unsupported right now.
You're checking the underlying emotion. You're proving you downloaded the whole file, not just read the file name.
And that links to another huge rule he has. Check your assumptions. We project our own feelings onto people all the time.
Oh, yeah. Because if I'm stressed, I want to vent, so I assume you want to vent. But maybe you just need quiet.
Exactly. You have to ask. And this leads to what I found personally to be the hardest rule in this whole section.
Let me guess, the unsolicited advice rule.
You got it. It hit you too.
Oh, it hit me hard. I'm a chronic fixer. My brain goes into engineering mode instantly.
It's an urge, right? They call it the writing reflex.
Yeah.
We want to set things right.
Someone says they have a headache, and I'm like, did you drink water? Is it the lighting? Have you tried? Tuhovsky basically says, just stop.
Stop. Unless they specifically ask. Because when you jump in with a solution, you're actually hijacking their own process of figuring it out.
It's almost arrogant when you think about it. It assumes I can solve in 5 seconds what you've been struggling with.
And it creates a power imbalance. You become the expert, they become the victim. Listening keeps you on the same level.
But that requires so much impulse control, which I think brings us perfectly to day 2.
The interruption problem.
Yes.
And he is blunt about this. He says interrupting sends a very clear signal. My thoughts are more important than yours.
Ouch. Yeah, That's not great. But surely there's some nuance. Sometimes it's just enthusiasm, right?
That's a fair point. And linguists call it cooperative overlapping. In some cultures, jumping in is how you show you're engaged.
Right. Like, oh yeah, totally, me too. That exact thing happened to me.
Yes. But Tuhovsky's focus is on the kind of interruption that just cuts off their flow of thought. You stop them from getting to that Carl Rogers moment of self-discovery we talked about. You hijack the train.
Okay, so what's the fix? Because just stop is easier said than done.
He gives a really concrete challenge. Count them. Your target is to interrupt fewer than 10 times a day.
10 times? That sounds achievable. But for some of us, that's probably over by breakfast.
You'd be surprised. He suggests visual cues like a sticky note on your monitor that just says, wait. And he's not kidding when he says you might have to physically bite your tongue.
I'm just picturing that. But I get it. It's about building that muscle of just being comfortable with a pause.
It is. And once you've gotten better at the silence, you have to look at what you actually say. And this brings us to our second pillar, the psychology of word choice.
I love this section. It feels like a cheat code for your brain. So day 4 is about vocabulary. And I want to be clear, this isn't just about using big words to sound smart, is it?
Not at all. That usually backfires.
Yeah.
This is about precision. Tuhovsky points out there's a real correlation between a broad vocabulary and career advancement.
Why though?
Think about it. The difference between saying I'm sad versus I'm melancholy or I'm despondent, they're different realities. If you can use one precise word instead of 3 vague sentences, you communicate more efficiently.
It's like high-resolution communication versus low-resolution.
That's a perfect way to put it. He suggests things like apps or learning one new word a day, but really, the best way is just to read widely.
Okay, so let's move to day 5, which was my absolute favorite aha moment. The battle of but versus and.
This one is huge. It's a fundamental shift. Tuhovsky explains that the word but just imposes a limit. It basically negates everything that came before it.
Right, like, you did a great job on that report, but there's a typo on page 3.
And what's the only thing you hear?
The typo. The great job is gone, evaporated.
Exactly. But creates a wall. Now swap it for and. You did a great job on that report, and there's a typo on page 3.
Whoa. Yeah, that feels completely different. It feels like both things can be true.
It turns a barrier into a concurrent challenge. It acknowledges the problem without erasing the success.
Yeah.
It invites a conversation.
I could see that changing a negotiation. I want to buy the car, but it's too expensive. Sounds like a dead end.
Whereas I want to buy the car, and it's too expensive.
Sounds like, okay, let's solve for the price. It keeps the door open.
It does. And he adds one more word to this little toolkit. The word yet.
Oh, the power of yet. This is straight out of Carol Dweck's growth mindset work.
It is pure growth mindset. If you say, I'm not good at public speaking, it's a fixed state. It's a label.
It feels permanent.
But you just add that one little word, I'm not good at public speaking yet.
It changes everything. It tells your brain it's just a matter of time.
You're in the process of becoming. It creates a bridge to the future.
It's amazing how a 3-letter word can do that. Okay, so we're swapping but for and. We're adding yet. And now, pronouns. Day 6. This is about watching the letter I.
A subtle one, but it's so important for how people see you. He warns about the I trap. If every sentence is, I think, I did, I want.
You can sound a little narcissistic.
You can, and also untrustworthy.
Untrustworthy. Why untrustworthy?
Because it signals you're totally self-absorbed. In a team setting, it suggests you're not thinking about the group. The solution he offers is simple. Shift to we.
We need to solve this versus I need to solve this.
Instantly build solidarity. You're a team player. But he's smart about this. He notes there are exceptions. You don't just eliminate I.
Right. If you're trying to take credit for your work, we might dilute it. Or if you're apologizing, we made a mistake, is a terrible apology if you're the one who messed up.
Exactly. Use I for accountability and assertiveness. If you're introducing a controversial opinion, own it. I believe this is risky, not we believe this is risky, if they don't agree.
That makes a lot of sense. We for inclusion, I for ownership.
Correct. Use we to build a bridge and I to stand your ground on it.
Okay, let's get to our final pillar. Building social bridges. This is where we put it all into practice. Starting with day 3, inclusive communication.
And this is so critical now. And to be clear, he's not just talking about being politically correct. He's talking about accuracy and respect. The goal is simple. Don't alienate people.
He gets into specifics like using gender-neutral terms.
Right, using they, when you don't know someone's gender. It's just more accurate.
Hmm.
But the part I found most powerful was about person-first language, especially with disabilities.
What does that mean in practice?
So instead of a diabetic, you say a person with diabetes.
The person comes first.
The person comes first. When you say diabetic, you're defining the entire human by their medical condition. It becomes their whole label. A person with diabetes means the condition is just something they have. It's not who they are.
And he also says to avoid emotional words like suffering from.
Right. Suffering assumes their experience. Maybe they're not suffering. Maybe they're just living with it. Or even thriving. Just state it neutrally. It respects their dignity.
It creates a lot of safety in the conversation. Which brings us to day 7, the art of helping. This was fascinating because helping seems so simple, right?
Not simple at all. It can be a minefield. If you do it wrong, it can feel incredibly patronizing. It can make the other person feel incompetent.
So how do you help without hurting?
Clarity and specificity. Don't just say, let me know if I can help. That's the empty offer.
We all do it. Let me know if you need anything. Nobody ever calls you on that.
No, because it puts the burden on them. Instead, offer specific solutions. I can pick up your kids on Tuesday. I can look over that draft for you tonight. And crucially, focus on the circumstance, not their character.
Right. Not, here, let me fix this since you're so bad at it.
Exactly. That's an insult wrapped in a favor. You're fixing the problem, not the person.
And he had a really unique tip about money, didn't he?
Yes. If you're offering financial help, he suggests calling it a no-interest loan instead of a gift.
That's interesting. Why? Isn't a gift nicer?
A gift can create shame. It can create this feeling of an unpayable debt. It shifts the dynamic. By framing it as a loan, even if you never intend to collect, you make it a transaction between equals.
It lets the other person save face.
It preserves their dignity. It's a very high EQ move. It shows the relationship matters more than the money.
Wow. Okay, that brings us to the last day we're covering, day 8, gratitude mechanics.
We hear about gratitude all the time, but Tuhovsky says our thank yous are weak. They're flimsy.
A bare thank you is fine for passing the salt, but not for something meaningful.
Exactly. You need to specify what they did. Thank you for staying late to help me. Thank you for listening when I really needed a vent.
It proves you were actually paying attention. It's not a reflex.
Right. And then he says to close the loop by asking, how can I return the favor?
That immediately turns it into a two-way relationship. It says, I'm willing to invest back in you.
And one final thing on this that I know I struggle with, accepting compliments.
Oh, the deflection. I love your shirt. Oh, this old thing, or great job. Oh, it was nothing.
Stop doing that. He's adamant. When you deflect, you think you're being humble, but you're actually rejecting the other person's judgment. You're telling them they're wrong.
It makes it awkward. They're trying to hand you a gift, and you're slapping it away.
Exactly. Just say thank you. It's better for your own self-image, and it honors the person giving the compliment.
So, to recap, we've gone from the foundation of silence, actually listening, not interrupting,
To the psychology of words, swapping but for and, adding yet, and balancing I and we.
and then building those bridges with inclusive language, dignified help, and specific gratitude.
It's a whole toolkit. But remember, the title is 21 Days. These aren't just ideas, they're habits to practice. You can't just read about push-ups to get strong.
So the challenge for you, the listener, is to pick just one of these. Maybe today. Just count your interruptions. Treat it like a muscle.
But before we go, I want to leave you with a kind of provocative final thought to chew on. We've talked a lot about active listening, emotional intimacy. Tuhovsky frames that as the ultimate goal. But is it always the answer?
What do you mean?
Think about high-pressure situations.
Right.
A surgeon in an ER, a pilot landing a plane. They don't need, I hear you're feeling concerned about the crosswind. They need direct, succinct information.
That's a great point. Brevity can be more respectful than empathy in some contexts.
And in some cultures, directness is the highest form of respect. So while these tools are incredibly powerful, the ultimate skill is knowing when to use them.
You have to read the room. Context is king.
Exactly. Don't be a hammer always looking for a nail. Be a craftsman who chooses the right tool for the job.
Well, thank you for listening to this deep dive into effective communication. We hope you and your future conversations benefit from it.
Nicely done. I see what you did there.
I'm learning. Thanks, everyone.